The air in Argolis is sweet, cloyingly so. It reeks of oil, sun-scorched marble, and stale wine in golden goblets. And it smells of fear, the kind Eurystheus hides beneath his heavy robes. I remember looking at him, those spindly fingers white-knuckled against the armrests, the damp sheen on his face. He was born into silk while I breathed the dust of the roads. Power is a strange thing. It does not reside in muscle. It lies in the right to speak, without raising one's voice while you stand before him, your own strength feeling like a burden, like iron shackling you to the floor. The gods gave you strength. You shall serve me with it. His voice wheezed like a cracked lyre. The death of Sthenelus left a void that this boy filled with his vanity. He stood there, surrounded by a crowd practiced in bowing, and his words dropped into the silence like stones into a deep well. The Nemean Grove, a temple where prayers are no longer offered. The lion. I simply nodded. There was a taste of copper in my mouth, the old premonition that always arrives before bones must be broken. The way to Nemea is a path through dead earth. The vineyards look like the twisted fingers of the drowned, clawing out of the cracked soil. The weeds stand taller than a man, yellow, parched, cutting the skin like cheap steel. Silence. Even the cicadas have gone mute, as if fearing to draw the gaze of whatever breathes in the depths of the grove. I asked for directions. The people. They do not look you in the eye. They shutter their windows, their faces gray as ash in a hearth cold for a week. The lion will find you. Fatigue began to pool in my calves. The sun sank slowly behind the hills, dragging long, filthy shadows in its wake. Darkness here brings no coolness. It brings only a scent, a heavy animal stench of rotting meat, old blood, and matted fur. The smell clings to the throat. You cannot spit it out. The ringing in my ears became constant. It wasn't the sound of the forest. It was the rhythm of my own blood hammering against my temples. A step. Another. The stones crumbled beneath my sandals. The ravine breathed cold, but my back beneath the old Citharon lion skin was slick with sweat. It stung my eyes, blurring the outlines of the cliffs. The world became brittle, uncertain. And then came the sound. It wasn't a roar. It was a concussive blow of air, a vibration that made my teeth ache. He emerged from the cave slowly, massive, a shadow that came alive and filled itself with muscle. He didn't look at me as a hunter. To him, I was merely warm meat that had arrived for dinner. His tail lashed his flanks, dull, heavy. The rhythm of death, time. It didn't stop. It just turned thick like resin. I remember my fingers finding the bowstring of their own accord. The wood of the bow pressed familiarly into my palm. The string sang against my ear, a sharp, thin note. 1 arrow, 2, 3. They should have pierced him through. They should have emerged from the other side, splattering the stones with the black gall of Typhon. But they simply bounced. That sound, the chime of metal against bronze, still haunts my dreams. The arrows fell into the dust, helpless as broken toys. The lion crouched. The muscles beneath his pelt rolled like sea swells in a storm. An inner voice, so quiet against the chaos. Steel will not help you. Only yourself, your breath, your weight. The spring. He was faster than sight. I saw only a flash of yellow lightning. My club, old, heavy, of gnarled oak, rose on its own. The blow landed on his head. The recoil surged through my elbows, shoulders, spine, as if I had struck a mountain. The wood groaned but held. The lion staggered. For a heartbeat his eyes lost focus, turning dull as muddy water. He fell, but the silence lasted only a fraction of a second. Then he was on me. Weight. An incredible, suffocating weight. His claws shredded the air near my throat. I smelled his maw, a stale reek that turns the stomach. My hands. I don't remember how they found his neck. I only knew I could not let go. My fingers sank into the thick, wiry mane. The muscles in my forearms burned as if filled with molten lead. The tremors in my legs became uncontrollable. We thrashed in the mud and our own sweat. Dust choked my nostrils. Every breath was a war for a scrap of oxygen. I squeezed. I heard nothing but my own rasping breath and his fading rattle. Emptiness in my head. There were no thoughts of glory, no fear of Eurystheus, no memory of the gods. Only my fingers turned to stone, only the wool beneath my nails. When he went limp, I didn't realize it at first. I kept holding until my own lungs began to fail. Then, silence, so sudden it was painful. I uncurled my fingers. They wouldn't obey. They remained clawed. I lay on the damp earth, staring at a sky where the first stars were beginning to bleed through. My body felt foreign. It was just a heap of pain wrapped in filthy skin. The taste of blood on my lips, mine or his. I didn't know. The lion lay beside me, a mountain of golden fur that no longer held a threat. He was beautiful in death, far more beautiful than the king in Mycenae. No blade would take the hide. Even the sharpest flint turned dull. Only his own claws could carve what was made invulnerable. I flayed that armor. It was hot, heavy, smelling of a primordial world. My old skin, the one from Cithaeron, seemed like a child's rag now. I left it there in the mire of Nemea. I put him on. The lion's head rested on my crown, his maw becoming my helm. The pelt draped over my shoulders, granting a sense of cold, impenetrable power. When I walked back, the people did not rejoice. They sang no songs. They fled. I saw their eyes through the cracks in their doors. They did not see a man who had saved them from a monster. They saw a new monster. Perhaps a more dangerous one, for it had a human face beneath a lion's mask. Mycenae met me with the cold of stone. Eurystheus. Oh, I will never forget his face when I entered the hall. He didn't look at me. He looked at the hollow sockets of the lion above my brow. His pride evaporated, leaving only the thin, oily essence of a coward. He scrambled into a corner. He hid behind his guards, who could barely hold their spears with trembling hands. His scream was high-pitched, almost thin as a woman's. "Go! Do not dare come near me!" I stood in the center of the hall, and the lion's skin felt heavier than the world. I had done what he asked. I brought him victory. But victory tasted bitter, like wild wormwood. I walked out of the palace into the night. The city breathed with dread. I heard a herald's voice somewhere in the distance, but it meant nothing. All that mattered was that now I would always carry this cold upon my shoulders. This skin will never come off. It has fused with my own. The first labor. They say it was heroism. I remember only the sticky sweat, the taste of dust on my tongue, and how slowly time dies when you tighten your fingers around the throat of a god.